Module 3.2 SketchUp Fundamentals. The aim behind this tutorial is to take you through the basics of how we set up the template files and to create a simple component. The overall length of this tutorial is around about 20 minutes long. The image you see is a generated 3D image that I produced from SketchUp and exported into Atlantis. But what we get from SketchUp is a very sophisticated piece of software which works very well with existing programs. And so what we have professional desktop, we have 2D documentation, and then we have building performance analysis. And this all links into a separate folder which is called Layout Book. Safari is an add-on to SketchUp and enables us to actually provide building analysis. One of the considerations when we are designing a building, even in its concept stages, is to look at how the building is going to work, and by creating a series of very quick analysis will inform us onto the effect of the building. So the information that we can generate is energy analysis, daylight, as well as thermal comfort. SketchUp is provided by Trimble, and they are supporting us with providing you with the full version of the SketchUp Pro license for you to include within your school environment. There's some critical information which I require from you in order for the license to be issued. So to do this, I'm going to require the name of the administrator, the school name, and the administrator's email. And by sending that to Alison, she can then forward that information directly to you. On this page, I've also included a series of link files which will enable you with your independent training and to make you more confident in the program itself. But before we start, let's go to SketchUp Pro, whether it's 18 or 19, it's the same. And we're going to select from the templates. And the template we're going to select to work with is the one that's called Construction, and the dimensions are all in millimeters. There are a series of other templates there, but I found that this is the easiest one and more appropriate for our needs. So by selecting the template and clicking OK, this example is the template which I've already created. And if we look at the way that this has been set up, so by going into View, we can actually select the toolbars. So there are a series of tick boxes. Some of them we require now, some of them we can actually delete and bring on later on. So for example, we don't need IES at this particular point in time. We do require the large tool set. We do require layers, measurement. The sandbox, probably not at this point in time. Sections, definitely, and standard. And then we have the links to Trimble Connect and Views, and also the warehouse. In the options box, we have a choice of whether they are large icons or small, depending on the size of your screen. If, for example, you end up bringing up too many templates onto the desktop, simply just drag it and bring it on the screen, and then press the X button to close it. In SketchUp, there is a very good library of materials and colors. So in our basic concept, we'll be using quite a few of these, but the choice is yours and down to that of your students. We're not being prescriptive over this, but what we are being prescriptive over is the use of layers. I'm always horrified the fact is that layers aren't used, and some people didn't even know that SketchUp has layers. So by clicking on the plus button, we can add a layer. We can click onto it. We can rename it. And what this enables us to, actually work much more efficiently. So if I want to actually create a series of proposals where certain elements aren't viewable at this particular point in time, we can close that down. In the bottom left hand corner is the layer which we're currently using. Scrolling through the various tabs, whether it happens to be in the help button or whether it happens to be in the window, we can actually set up and we can find the relevant information we require. Then on completion of setting up our file, we can go down to the file button and save as template. So in future we don't need to go through this process again. If you look at preferences, we can choose the file locations, we can choose the text, we can choose the dimensions, and we can use the dialog box to actually find our previous templates. Also in preferences, we can actually choose the drawing sizes. We can also choose the dimensions, whether they're in millimeters, whether they happen to be in meters or centimeters. In the UK, the standard is everything is in millimeters. So let's just go to File. And let's just create our first template file. So my advice is you're going to name it, but give it a reference, because what happens is that you may want to create a series of template files as projects move on and get more sophisticated, and it all depends on the cohorts. So you have full control as to what is produced and how we work. The same applies to Layout Book. Layout Book is a separate program and it's created on the desktop. And within the Layout Book itself, it actually enables us to use either graph papers. There are a series of title blocks, and there's also a series of pre-formatted sheets where it has to be A1 all the way down to A4. So for this module, I would recommend that we stay with A3 landscape. So just select it and say open. When you open the Layout Book, you actually are faced with the first sheet you see is the cover page. We can go into File. We can customize the information. We can add address. We can add names. We can add all the basic information, and we can also add our own logos. So for this one, I've used the Class of Your Own logo. We can also select the text boxes, and then we can actually choose the font. and the size of font we prefer to use. On the inside page, as they call it, again we can select the default font that's been created and then adjust that to our own styles and whatever size, so we have that kind of continuity. If you have a logo and you wish to use the logo on your worksheets, simply select it from your image files and then click Insert. So you can format it, locate it on the sheet, change the size to suit. There are little handles for each of the corners, so you can stretch it, you can shrink it, you can actually distort it. And again, what happens is, so we have a cover page, we have an inside page. Let's just rename that inside page. Let's call it page 1. And we can either select the duplicate button, or we can select the plus button, and we could add additional pages. So let's just create 4 new pages. So we've got pages 1, page 2, 3 and 4. Each one is formatted to A3 size, and all the relevant information that we've created can be imported and adjusted. So once we've set up our defaults, we've brought in the information and our logos, let's go to File, let's go and let's create save as template. Again, name it and give it a reference. And we can save this in our templates. Say OK. Okay, so let's go back to SketchUp. Okay, so I've opened up SketchUp 2018. I'm into my templates, and I'm going to use the template file, which is in millimeters. So in this exercise, we're going to create a slab, and we're going to head it under landscape and terrain. So let's select the landscape terrain layer. We can put information by either using the pencil, if it's not equal sizes, or we can just select the rectangle box. So if we left click and drag, then go down to dimensions and then type in the dimension information. So if we type in 12,000 and then comma and 12,000, then hit enter, it will automatically create the size. One of the things that we need to do is to subdivide this. I want to create a series of 3 meter grids. So rather than use the pencil line for that tool, I'm going to use the tape measure, which will create me a series of hidden lines. So if I set my default point from the center, I can create a horizontal line and a vertical line. Coming 3 meters up, just click on come up and type in 3 meters. It will set out our point for our hidden line, and then let you just drag across the screen. So you notice by dragging it will give you a dimension, but simply go down to the lens and just type in 3000 and it will give you the information. Don't worry about the lines overshooting the box, they'll go on forever in some places, and just stop short. We are going to delete these before we create the component. So there's our 12 meter rectangle. If we go into 3D, we can extrude the ground. So at the moment it's just purely flat. Let's use the drag tool. Click, pull, and type in the dimension. 200 millimeters. Just type in 200. And finally, we're going to add a couple of curves to each corner, and we're going to add some textures. To come out the tool, sometimes it's best to hit escape, but go to the tool, and let's just choose that we select the edge, and we can choose whether it's going to be an inverted curve or an external curve. In both cases, I'm going to select the internal curve. So by view it in 3D. Again, I can go back. I can do a bit more dragging to actually to lift up the elements of the slab. I'm going to add textures to the slab, so I'm going to go down to landscapes. I think I'll add some paving to the main area, and I'm going to add grass to the two inverted curves. Okay, so we're ready to create our first component. Before we do that, we need to go to Edit and delete the hidden lines. And then by left clicking on the screen over the shape, so we need to have a mouse and a mouse with a wheel. Right click, create component. Let's give the component a name. Let's just call it simply landscape. Let's give it a quick description. Let's call it 12,000 by 12,000. You could give more information, but at this point in time, you understand. And then simply select create. It's not important at this point to actually what it's glued to. Just hit create.